Hey guys, hi. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am a doll artist. My name is Lori, and I'm an artist of all different kinds of things, but mainly dolls. So today I am going to be showing you my Padme repaint. Now, I did not make the costume for this one. I had that one made from Morgan May. She made the costume for me, but I am a huge Star Wars nerd. So while you're watching this repaint, I'm just going to talk a little bit about Star Wars because I love it so much. And some people might not agree with me on what I'm going to say because everybody has their opinions when it comes to Star Wars, but I'm just going to give you my rundown on how I feel about it. So I'm going to age myself a bit and say that I got to see Star Wars in the theater in 1977 when I was maybe 12. And I was just sold immediately. The first time I watched it, I was mesmerized from the beginning until the end. It's all I thought about. I don't know why. I don't know what struck me about it at that age. But my friends and I used to write fan fiction. We just were obsessed. I was madly in love with Mark Hamill. I love you, Mark Hamill. I wanted to marry Luke Skywalker. Later on, Mark Hamill, I'm really sorry, but I turned my attention to the much older, but I had to wait till I matured a little bit, Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones. And then he was my love for many, many years after that. But I digress. I loved Star Wars so much. Like, I can't even, it's easy for me to talk about because I loved it so much. And I was a traveler as a kid, and I can remember we moved to Saudi Arabia when I was maybe 13, just going on 14, somewhere around there. And boy, this is really going to date me, but VHSs were not really that popular. Betamaxes were just kind of new. And someone had said that they could get Star Wars so that I could watch it. And I never got to see it. And just all I thought about was when was I going to, well, it's not all I thought about. I thought about other things too, boys. But I did really want to see it. So fast forward to, let me look it up, the year that Star Wars, I got to look up Star Wars because it'll help me kind of know where I was at. But the second one, Empire Strikes Back, came out. Empire Strikes Back. Oh, no, it says Empire. That came out in, I'm sorry, I had to look it up, 1980. So at this point, I remember reading an article that said that Harrison Ford wanted to die. I was just like, why? Why would Han Solo die? I don't want that. Things like I was really a big crazy person when it came to it. And got to enjoy all of the movies and then just sort of put them on the shelf where they belong and go to the theme parks and get to ride the rides and just nostalgia. At this point, it was nostalgia. And then all of the sudden, we get the prequels. They announced the prequels are coming. And what was the first one called? It wasn't Attack of the Clones. It was oh gosh, hold on. Um, Episode 1, Phantom Menace. That's what it was called. And it came out in 1999. And I'm a mom at this point, and I'm so excited to be able to take my daughter to go see something that I loved so much as a kid. Now I'm sure I forced her to watch all the Star Wars movies up until that point, but this was a new one. And it did look different. It looked different, but I didn't care. I didn't care that it was different. It was Star Wars. I was finally, after 30 years, I think it was 30 years, I was going to, is that right? Let me see. Maybe it's 20 something years. 20. Okay, I'm going crazy here. 20 something years. I was going to find out where Darth Vader came from, who Darth Vader was, why he was the way he was, what happened to him. This was something I was really excited about finding out as an adult. And I guess the first one he was just this kid, and they introduced his the mother and everything. I don't know. I was just like as mesmerized. And then the next movie came out in 2002, and that was the Attack of the Clones. And this is where we're introduced to Hayden Christensen. Now, I know a lot of people don't like him. I know that there's a lot of negative stuff connected, my husband included, but I I loved him. He's my favorite character in the franchise. And I know that I'm not alone here in loving Hayden Christensen's portrayal of Darth Vader as Anakin Skywalker before he was Darth Vader. I got it. I understand. I mean, he was a little whiny. I get it. But, so was Luke. Luke was a little whiny. There's some fun, interesting things, too, about the casting and everything. I don't want to miss say anything, but I believe that I'm not sure about Mark Hamill, I'm not sure, but I think they have some Jewish ancestry, both of them, and I think that was the same with Hayden and Natalie Portman. I know Natalie Portman's Jewish, but I think they all have some Jewish ancestry, which kind of ties them all together, kind of in a unique way that each actor has that background. But don't quote me on it because I'm not positive. I thought I read it somewhere. Anyway, I loved Hayden Christensen. I love Natalie Portman as Padme as well. All the costumes. The costume designer is Trisha Big something. I had it up, but then I exited out to go see the time. Let me look her up. Trisha Bigger. Now, she's not the only one who designed for Star Wars, as a costume designer, but I think she did all of Natalie Portman's costumes, and I think she was the main costume designer for the prequels. And I have the book Dressing the Galaxy, which is just beautiful. I mean, it's just beautiful. I want to say, I don't want to say wrong, but I think, didn't she work on Game of Thrones again? I could be wrong about that. Let me look it up. That she worked on Game of Thrones as a costume designer as well. Oh, well. She's working on Outlander right now. That's pretty cool. I don't know for sure about Game of Thrones. I'll have to look that up. But the costumes in Game of Thrones are crazy good. But anyway. So all of the costumes, this is where I kind of was disappointed when I saw some of the newer Star Wars, and the costumes were just sort of boring to me. At least Rey had an interesting, Star Warsy hairstyle. But when they did Rogue One, and I got those were rebels, so I understand why they just sort of didn't have anything fancy. They're not royalty or anything like that. Actually, I was thinking of, and I did not. This is one Star Wars movie I just didn't really care for, and that was trying to rely on my memory here. I'm sorry, I should have written notes down, but it is the Han Solo one. Solo. I did not like what they did with the main female character played by alumni Game of Thrones, Emilia Clarke. I didn't mind her in the movie. I was like, I didn't like her costume. I didn't like her hair. It was a ponytail. What is that about? This is Star Wars. Where's the uniqueness? Where's the coolness? I don't know. I was just bored. I was bored to death by that movie. I just didn't care for it. And it was cast really well, but except for maybe the lead. Yeah. I don't know. I just didn't like it. But the prequels, which I know a lot of people don't like, I loved. Go figure, right? And I loved Hayden Christensen, which is a big no-no, I guess. But whatever. I keep waiting for them to bring him back, and I'm really mad that they cut him out of the final the new trequel. Trequel. I make up a new a new words. I guess it is like a sequel, and it's 3, so trequel. I made up a new word. Anyway, He was supposed to be a Ghost Force, and they cut him out. And I guess they cut all the Ghost Force out, but I don't know. I'm disappointed. I keep, I think I heard that he's going to be in an upcoming show, one of the upcoming shows on Disney Plus. I hope so. Boy, has Disney Plus been pulling it out though, right? I love The Mandalorian so much. Love it so much. And I'm sad about Gina Carano leaving though. I'm just going to say that out loud. I don't care. I'm upset about it because the part was written specifically for her, so it sucks. I think she was getting her own series out of it, and so I'm sad to see her go. But I love The Mandalorian. I think it's just groundbreaking. Some of the best Star Wars we've ever seen, as far as the writing and the action and the set designs and everything. It's just fantastic. And you know, to die for Baby Yoda, Grogu, love, 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 love. And the WandaVision, which is non-Star Wars, but oh my God, WandaVision was so fun. Just so fun. Wouldn't that be an amazing doll? Like the end, if you watched it in her full Scarlet Witch costume, I would love that. I look at it and it kind of intimidates me. I have a friend who I think is probably tackling that already. So I don't know if I will or not. I don't have any commissions for it, so we'll see. But loved that show. Anyway, back to the prequels because that's what I'm working on. I'm working on Padme. Her costumes from the very beginning were amazing. Of course, first off, the big Queen Amidala costuming was just outrageously ornate and exquisite. And then by the time we got to Attack of the Clones, this is the romantic version of Padme. And she has the one gorgeous gown after another, just one after another. Everything is just, even her dressing gown and her beautiful smocked robe. And I've just had so much fun over the years recreating her in dolls, because I would say Padme is probably my biggest muse doll. Of all the dolls that I've worked on, I've probably made more Padmes than anything. Pretty sure. But I don't think I've ever made a costume for her because they intimidate me. I'm not going to lie. They really do. So this one is the picnic gown, and I think it's supposed to represent like kind of a Renaissance, romantic Renaissance time. And you can really see that reflected in it, just the flowiness and the hairstyle and everything. It's very romantic and whimsical. And so I would say it's one of my very favorite. Now, it's not my, it might be my favorite. No, I think the balcony gown, nightgown, and robe are my absolute favorite look. I think those are that is. But this might be my second favorite. And then I really love the lake gown. That's the tie-dye. I'm going to be doing her as well. I probably won't make the video of her because I'm already doing the repaint here, and I didn't make that gown either. So I'll think about it because there is some extra stuff that needs to be done. I ran out of coffee, and I'm just my throat is just closing right up. So the whole point of everyone not liking Anakin and his turn, to me, they kind of missed the point, because he was, and I love to have these discussions with my husband. It's really fun because he'll really get into it with me, and I really appreciate that. Well, we can nerd out big time on Star Wars and Marvel and DC. We just really nerd out together, and I really appreciate it. But my point is that he is this slave boy on a planet that he's been a slave his whole life, and his mom is a slave, and he's special. Like, he's special. He's got something special. And when he's taken from that world, he's taken from his mother so that he can become this Jedi, and then he can't get back to his mom. He can't get back to her. The Jedi Council has been against him from the very, very beginning. they didn't think he should be trained. They thought he was too old. They thought he had too much anger from being, obviously he did. He was a slave. And then his his mentor, the one that was supposed to train him, Qui-Gon Jinn, gets killed. And now his Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan Kenobi, is now his new mentor, and he's really not prepared to be a mentor. He's barely a Padawan himself. And then he's taking on this. I mean, I think that Anakin needed that father figure. He needed that father figure that Qui-Gon Jinn was giving him. And he ended up getting a brother instead. So, enter the Emperor Palpatine. He decides to be that voice, like he sees inside of him that he's a future. He's his future. His, the strength and everything in him. And so he's been like weaving his way. And every time the Jedi Council is difficult with Anakin, then you've got Palpatine over there just being like this grandpa to him, like this understanding grandpa. And it's what he needed. So you can see how, and he also was manipulating the whole time. Like the whole time he was manipulating him into further distancing or trusting in the Jedi Council. And honestly, the Jedi Council, like that's their fault too. I'm sorry. It was their fault. The way that they behaved. I mean, they were very like full of themselves. And I'm not going to get into all of the Clone Wars stuff. If you've ever seen it, it's really good to watch the Clone Wars. I really enjoyed it. And there's a lot more nuances in there. So if you want to really understand Anakin, if you're a Star Wars fan and you want to kind of understand where Anakin's coming from, you could really watch that, because it gives you a lot more. The relationship between him and Padme, the relationship between him and Obi-Wan, his downfall. You can see it. It's a really cool backstory, and would just give you more understanding of his character, because it does seem kind of like fast. So his one thing was that he wanted to come back and save his mother, but he's busy on all of these missions and then protecting Padme because she's a target, and then he doesn't make it. He doesn't make it to save his mother. The one thing that he wanted to do was save his mother, and the force in him is so strong that he can see what happens to her. So he goes, and once he sees that she's, it's too late, like he loses his shit. He loses it. And he's been driven to this along the way. And it's not that subtle, I don't think. But then his turn to the dark side even gets, like, by the time you get to the third movie, at this point, he's really become very powerful, and he's married to Padme secretly, so he's having to keep his love for her a secret. And then she gets pregnant, and he's thinking, okay, obviously I'm thrilled that I have this with the woman I love, but what if we're found out? Is this going to threaten our future? And this whole time, Palpatine is just like planting the seeds, and the Jedi Council is, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know why they behaved the way that they did, but they were almost like they were anti Anakin for sure. And Obi-Wan was he was a solid soldier, so he was confused by Anakin's behavior sometimes, because Anakin was so passionate. He had a lot going on inside of him. And during that time, the Jedi were teaching that you were either all good or all bad. There was no gray area really being shown. And I think that there had been some, it might have made a difference. I mean, Anakin did the right thing when he found out Palpatine was the Sith that they had been looking for. He went to the Jedi. He went there and he told them, like, "Hey, he's a Sith," and he was told, not to, to stay in his place and not go anywhere. But he was freaking out because Palpatine had promised him that he could save Padme. At this point, he had had a dream of her death, and he was just obsessed with keeping her alive. Like, that was his thing. And he thought, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen to Palpatine. I need to make sure he stays alive. And, we do the right thing as Jedis. We're not supposed to kill. We're supposed to, be the good guys. And of course, that all goes to shit. And he thinks the Jedi is evil and turns to the dark side. And once that switch flips, that's it for him. That's it for him. Until his son in the future brings him back to the light. Because there's always a little bit of good in there. But once he lost Padme, once the Jedi Council turned against him, he flipped. He flipped his switch. So it was a good thing that he came back finally. And I thought that it was shown. It's like, it's different. I get it. It's not like the original Star Wars. It's more like this opera, this giant opera. But I really enjoyed it. And there is a lot of politics in there and stuff like that. So it's not for everybody, but I really enjoyed it. And the costumes, like I said, were just so beautiful. I don't know. I'm a Star Wars junkie. So, with the exception of Solo, which I just did not feel was very Star Wars-y. I mean, it had Star Wars elements, but it didn't feel like Star Wars to me. It just felt like any other action movie, which I may have been fine with, liked separate from its source material. But because it was like, I didn't like how they came up with this name Han Solo. I thought that was stupid. I thought the actor was too I hate to say it. I just don't think he had that, and maybe it's impossible to find someone who does. He just didn't have the charisma, the natural charisma or swag, I guess maybe. He's charismatic, but he didn't have the swag. That's what it is that Harrison Ford has. Harrison Ford has this slow, easy swag. Like, I'm here. Here I am. And, I wish I had that swag. Definitely don't. But that's what makes him a leading man all these years. I mean, even today, you can still, he walks onto the set in A Force Awakens and he's just great. Like, he's better than he was ever before. And some of the lines that he delivered were just hysterical. I loved Harrison Ford in A Force Awakens. I thought he was brilliant and really made that movie for me. And you can argue that A Force Awakens is a copy of A New Hope, the original Star Wars. And it is kind of, that's sort of a J.J. Abrams thing to do. But they really lost me on the second movie. Oh my God. I wanted to love it. I wanted to so bad at Star Wars. I wanted to. And I don't hate it. It's very Star Wars. But the direction was just really strange for me. And I hated that. Like, there were parts I loved. And some people might not agree with me on this. But I loved the Ren-Kylo connection. I thought it was cool and different, and I love that they had a Force connection. And I was glad that they weren't related at the end, that they were different. But I think that whole scene where they went and they rode those weird horses and all that business, it was just odd and off-putting to me. I didn't really enjoy it. I didn't think that they needed to add more characters. We already had plenty. And it just, I don't know, it just threw me off. And then the third movie comes about and it's kind of a mess, It's kind of just all over the place. There's great moments and then there's just like, what? It's It's like all of those characters that they introduced, all of a sudden they didn't need. Finn became like so unimportant in the last movie. He kept on trying to tell Rey that he had the Force, and like we never got that from him. It was so disappointing how they just sort of pushed some of the characters to the side. In the second movie, I hated when they made Poe like the bad guy. I didn't like that either. Um, there was just some things that just didn't. I don't know. It was a mess, and I feel like, in a way, that it was because they used different directors. Because J.J. Abrams did the first one. I can't remember the guy who did the second one. I can't remember his name right now. And then the third was, again, J.J. Abrams came back. But I just, I don't know. It just didn't work in the end. It's disappointing for so many reasons. But I did like the main characters. Like the first movie, I really enjoyed. I just didn't like where they took it. And I was sad at the ending as well. But having said all that, the ups and downs, the good, the bad, and the ugly, I love Star Wars as a whole. The entire franchise for me, except for the holiday special, which my husband forced me to watch one time out of just spite, I think. He just put it on and he was like, we're watching it. And I'm like, why? It's so bad. It's so bad. Everything else, though, I really enjoy. I haven't watched Rebels yet. I hear Rebels is better than the Clone Wars, and I haven't watched a new season of the Clone Wars, which is weird. I just haven't been in the mood. But I will. I'll definitely watch it. Anyhow, those are my very small opinions on Star Wars. The costume is beautiful by Morgan May. Thank you so much for making the costume for me. I hope you enjoy it. And I probably ran over here, but I will stretch it out to make it all fit. I hope everybody has a great day. If you haven't seen all of the Star Wars, you need to watch them. I enjoy watching them, and not in the order that they were released. Some people argue that that's the way to watch them, as the release order, but I think you should watch them from the beginning to the end. And so the very first one would be the Phantom Menace, and all the way until the end. Obviously, you know that the last one is, I can't remember the name of it, which is, I'm just drawing a blank right now of what it was called. I think the Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, I think it's Rise of Skywalker is the last one. No, I'm a real Star Wars fan here. No, I really am. It's just those last ones were disappointing. Anyway, I will see you guys next time. Bye.